Hello guys, in today's video we are going to learn together how to build a custom user model in Django. Django provides a built-in user model to create user accounts and manage them. In most cases, you will find yourself you really need to customize that built-in user model to meet your project requirements. You might need this to have additional fields or customize authentication or just have a better control over account management in your project. In order to do so, we need two classes from Django. The first one, we will use it to create user accounts and customize them and extend that built-in user model. And the second class is really important. Why? Because it will help us to manage our user account. So in order to use these classes, let's first start with the first one that creates user accounts. So in order to have this class, let's start with a name for this class. So let's give it a name like custom user. And this class will inherit from abstract base user. And we need to import it first. So let's import that class from Django.contrib.auth.models. Then we can import abstract base user. So here we can make custom user class inherits fields and attributes from this class. And let's do that. So abstract base user, and we might need in the future to have permissions mixed in because it might be very useful for us to display some permission and to add some permission to our custom user model. But in this tutorial, we will not need this, but we need that just to maybe display, permissions of our custom user model in the admin interface. Great, so that's the class that we need. It provides the basic foundation to create user accounts and customize them so that you can extend and add more fields to them. So the first one, or the first field or attribute we need in this class is email. So email is already provided by abstract base user, but we need to put here any field that we want to customize. So as you know, yield, it takes the email field as an argument, and let's set max length to 254, and let's make this unique. So abstract base user provides email field as default, but not with uniqueness. So that's why we need to change this to true to make it unique. And the same as well for username is not unique as default, so we need to make it unique. And also we need to customize the max length of this field. So this will take the character field, and let's set the max length to 30. Sorry, here I put here's and then we can make it unique as email. I don't know what's going on with my keyboard. Great, so now we have email and username. So custom user or abstract base user class provides some permission attributes like is active, like is staff, like is super user. So some of these classes are set to false, and one of them I think is set to true. So one of them is called isStaff. So isStaff, it's a boolean field, and it's set to false as default. But if you want to customize this class, you can set it to true. Then we have isActive, and we have also a super user. We don't need to put super user here because it's already set to false. But let's keep isActive because it's really important if you want to customize this in real world projects. In this tutorial, I will keep it as default to true, so that's the default value of this field. It's set to true, but it's not a good practice to make user account active after they are created. So it's better to keep them false or inactive until users verify their emails. that can be something very good. But for this tutorial, we'll make it true, just for testing, right? And then we can add some fields. So these fields are not existed in the abstract base user, and now we are extending this class with these two fields. So created add just to set the date and the time when the user is created for the first time, and for this we need a datetime field, and we can use the now. Sorry, I drew here, but now let's have add. So, and this will be set to true. And also we need something very similar to this, but this will set the time and the date of every change happens to this instance of the custom user class. Right, so we'll use yours, and you can just say auto now and set it to true. Great. So now we have a base or custom user account, and this is the model that will create for us this custom user account. So let's add some functions here to represent our model. So let's just have string here, just to have a string representation of model here. Let's represent it by username. That'll be enough. So let's return the username of the user. And also we can provide a meta class to this, but maybe just for fixing, the verb is name plural of the model, so that we cannot have some random names. We can just keep it, I think, accounts or users. Okay, let's keep it users. It's more better. Amazing. So now we have this class, but we still need some other fields that seems important for us when we want to log in with our user, especially in the admin interface. And also we need to set the unique identifier of the model and the required fields. So for this to happen, we need to use the username field. So the username field is already set to username, but for this tutorial, let's customize this and keep it email. So email will be our unique identifier of this custom user model. And then we can add the required fields. So for the required fields, as default, username field is required, but here let's add another field that we want it to be required as well, is username. Great. So now we finished creating our custom user class. Now we need to have another class that will manage this user account. So this class, let's give it a name of custom user manager. And this class will inherit functionalities and attributes from another class called base user manager that comes from Django. So we should also import this here. I forget to import permissions mixin, and also we can import base user manager. You can here open up parentheses, fix that, but for now let's just have it like this, okay? Okay, let's go ahead now and use some of these functionalities that base user manager provides. So here we can just have two functions, one called create user, and this function here will create a user account. It means it will use the following fields to create a user account. So this takes in self for sure, takes in email, username, and password. Password is set to not. So here let's have a variable to create that user account and initiate, or just send our data to the model. So let's call self here. Let's have a model method to create or set, our attribute to their values. So the first thing here is email. So we want to convert our email to lowercase. So we need to normalize it. Django provides us this method called normalize email. Will convert the email to lowercase format. And let's put just email here. And then we can set username to username. So that will be the username of the user for sure, and email will be the email address of the user. And let's keep here password. So what we need to do here, we need to hash the password. We don't want to save the password to the database in plain text format. So Django provides another function called setPassword that provides a hashing mechanism to save your password securely in the database. In order to use this function, we only need to say set password, and that will be password here, and that will hash and secure our password automatically. And then we can just have user dot save to save result, or sorry, the data to the database, and then we can return user. So that for creating a user account. And now let's have, this one is only for a regular user account, but we need to know how to create a super user account, because we might have a super user account, we might have staff access, right? So we need to mention that as well in this user manager class. So we need to create another function here, and let's call it create super user. And this function also takes in self, email, username, and password. Okay, I don't know why I'm using this here. Okay, looks good. So what we need to do, we need to write again this variable user, and let's use this function here to create a user account, and then we will change and override the values you need to make this account a super user account or a staff account. So in order to do this, let's just go self and create this function, create user, and then we can set email to email. So here we don't need to normalize it because it will call immediately the function, and also we can just set the username, and then we can set the password to password. After that, we can use the same instance here and change the staff to make it true, right? And then we can do the same for super user. I think it takes super user class. Remember, a super user is already provided by abstract base user. That's why I'm not using it here, and it's already set to false. But for this function, we need to make it true. Also, when you change that to false, don't forget to put this here to put here, user dot is active, and set it to true as well. But for this tutorial, we will not do this. Right, so now we can just say user dot save, and then we can return the user. Right, so that's for our classes. So now we have two classes, one for creating user account, and this is called custom user. It inherits from abstract base user and permissions mixin, but permission mixins we will not need it here, but just in case, if you want to customize the admin interface, you want to display information well, you can use some attribute that permission mixin provides to display, for example, columns for staff and admin account, etc. Okay, so then we have another class called custom user manager that manages the user accounts. So it manages that, and let's say it classifies user, whether they are regular user accounts or super user accounts. Great, so those classes are not connected yet. To make them connected and to make custom user call the custom user manager to manage the account, we need to hold this within this class, and let's have a variable called object, and let's just call this very easily by saying custom user manager like this. So now our classes are expected to work. I hope I'm not missing anything here. And now let's get into testing that. But before we test this, let's make migrations and apply them. And then we will run the python manage.py shell or the Django shell to test this. Right? Great. So let's go back to the terminal and let's see if there is any error here. I hope there is no bug. Oops. Okay, this is not something that I have talked about here. Okay, there are some issues. Custom user. I don't know if I'm using user permissions. I don't use that. Okay. Well, let's get rid of that. Maybe this is the one that makes issue here. I was thinking that can be useful, but let's get it to test this. Great. I think this class is not important, but I was thinking that would be, yeah, you need to go to the admin.py and fix this, but for now let's just focus on, yes, we have 18 applied migrations, so we need to make migrations first. So let's say python manage.py make migrations. Great, and let's use this, sorry for that. Let's use this hang that appears to migrate. Great, so we have now davy.sqlite. That's good. So now let's use the Django shell to test this custom user model and see if it works as expected. So wait, let's have here some space, and let's import this by saying from users.models import custom user, and let's variable here called user1, and let's just call this and create a regular user account using the instance we create here, object, you see, and then we can use the base manager or the base or custom user manager class to call the create user function. So in order to do that, let's just do that now very quickly. Object dot create user, and then let's give some credential or fake credential here, test user e.com, and then let's have a username. Let's call this test user. Let's set password. Let's have it something like test user. I don't know what's going on with my tree key in my keyboard. Great. So now let's see if the user, amazing. So that works as expected. But let's test if that user is a staff user. Great. And let's see, do the same. Normally I should run unit tests for this. So just use user, yeah, maybe I need to add that custom or that super user field to as no attribute field. A super user, let's see. Oh, I think, yeah, permissions makes and provides this, but yeah, but we can't do that because I was thinking that abstract base user provides this class. So let's add this class here and run migrations. is super user model boolean field default, make it false. I don't know, because I was thinking that abstract base user gives super user use. But anyway, that's okay. Let's do exec. Sorry, I didn't expect this. I do this spontaneously. Anyway, let's have this again. I hope, yeah, because I need to run again. Make migrations. Because we added a new field. Okay. Well, that runs as expected. Now let's run python manage.py shell. Okay, from users, custom user. Oh, from user.models, sorry. Import custom user. Well, let's have user1 and let's call this again custom user dot object dot create user. Let's have an email. Let's call this teste.com and let's have username called test3. Let's have a password called test. I know it's a very stupid password. Great, so now let's go ahead. That gives the exact representation we want. Let's see if that is a staff user. Great. And let's see if that is a super user. Nice. And then we have another function, but just for stupid testing here. Let's see if it's active. True. That's good. So now let's test the custom or the super user function. So we can do the same, but just let's make this user 2 and let's use instead super user account. For email, let's give it 1, let's give it 2, and then let's have test. Okay, super test, for example, use that. Let's keep the password as is, so no problem. Okay, so now we have user 2, we have the same, and if we said user.2 underscore 2, sorry, is active, that'll be short, and let's put here staff. Nice. And super user. Great, that works as expected. So that's all about yours. So it means you can use now this implementation to build a custom user model in Django. There are many ways, but I think this one is more powerful than one of the powerful ways to use to build a custom user model in Django, because it provides more control over your account management. But always you can use permissions mixin if you want to do some stuff in the admin interface and display information well. And here don't forget to add is super user, because I thought that abstract base user class provides this field as default, but normally it doesn't. So that's all about this. So I hope you find this very useful. I hope you can use this in your Django project. It's highly recommended to use this from beginning before you run your first migration in your Django project, just to have a smooth transition from built-in user model to custom user model. That's all. Hope this tutorial is very useful for you, and see you in the next video. Bye for now.
Asteroid.